Get it? Text a message, I don't know the number. Flexing on these every bone and muscle. Steady taking shots, never hurting them. Even then, y'all don't worry nothing. And I like to give a shout out to my new man with the game plan. And shout outs on my new man with escape plans. 20 bands, rain dance. We can either rain check or we can make plans. Pockets loaded, rocket loaded. Okay, let's rock and roll this. Time to go, lock, stock, and two smoking barrels locked and loaded. Diamonds glowing, chop climbing on them. You think I'm jumping out the window? How I got them open. Line around the corner, line them up the block and over. Sometimes I even stop the smoking when it's time to focus. My shade, Dior, my pants, velour. Create, explore, expand, concord. I came, I saw, I came, I saw. I praise the Lord, then break the law. I take what's mine, then take some more. It rains, it pours, it rains, it pours. I came, I saw, I came, I saw. I praise the Lord, then break the law. I take what's mine, then take some more. It rains, it pours, it rains, it pours. Yeah, I sold the pack, the loose, the hard. Yeah. I listen to X, I beat the bars. Yeah. The snakes, the rats, the cats, the dogs, the games, a trap, protect your heart. Yeah. I waited in line, return, refine the new design. It's time to shine, to shine, to shine, to shine, to shine. I hustle, I flex, the world is mine. So please believe, allow degrees. These disease don't speak, we squeeze.
Diego Sockers are going for an MASL 3P. Join us Sunday, December 11th at Pechanga Arena for the home opener against Empire Strykers. Come early for the ring ceremony as we raise a 16th championship banner before the 5 o'clock kickoff. Tickets at Sockers.com.
Welcome back to Sockers Overtime, your weekly look inside the San Diego Sockers and the Major Arena Soccer League, coming to you live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/San Diego Sockers. Craig Elston, Jerry Jimenez, back with you. It's Season 5, Episode 4, and it's game time. Sockers with 2 matches this weekend. They'll be heading into the Empire. Before the Empire will be heading to San Diego for matches on Saturday and Sunday night. Jerry, how are you, my friend?
I'm awesome. It's good to be back. I can't believe we're already episode 4, Craig. And this is, by the way, you just mentioned it. I'm so excited because this is literally the last show this season without having played a game. And that makes me very, very happy and very, very excited. So good to be back. Good to be with you.
It's an early hello to everybody who has jumped in right from minute 1, live on Twitch. Again, twitch.tv/San Diego Sockers. Welcome to everybody who's already in the chat. We also say a special hello to everybody who's watching the replay after the fact on our YouTube channel at San Diego Sockers, and even to those who subscribe to the audio podcast where it all began. Sockers Overtime was once just a humble audio show. Now here we are, a multimedia venture. So whether it's with your ears or your eyes, we welcome you inside this evening's program.
Cheers.
On tonight's show, cheers, hey, salud. Got the pug mug.
I love the pug mug. This may or may not be tequila. My throat's still feeling a little.
Water to me.
My throat's still feeling a little, you know, like it tickles a little bit. So this is helping out a lot.
on tonight's show, and I already see Marlisha saying I'm a little soft, so I'm going to bring up the mic. Here we go. Mic's up. Cheers, Mike.
Thanks, Marlisha.
Western Conference play began over the weekend, and oh my goodness, two shocking results. Monterrey and OntariEmpire both lose their opening matches.
I'm sorry. You know we're gonna do that. Of course we're gonna do that a lot this season. I have a feeling, but you know.
The Strykers, I should just call them the Strykers. OntariEmpire. The Strykers then make their biggest move in a while. Biggest move since bringing the King west. And they bring in a player that might be a difference maker. We will talk about it. The Strykers held their annual season ticket member event and revealed their kits for the season. If you haven't seen them, you will on tonight's show. Plus, our special guest joining us at 5:30, Brian Farber, returns to Strykers overtime and begins what might be his last season. You know, retirement in the Strykers, it doesn't go easy. We held a retirement ceremony for Zé Roberto. He's still at practice, so it's hard to get rid of these guys, Jerry.
No, you never know. And I think for us, I mean, this squad, this team, this club, just in general, you know, when we announce somebody's retirement, it's probably going to be a while before they actually retire. We just want you to prepare and make sure you're there to witness the greatness of some of these players like Zé Roberto and in this case, Brian Farber, the man with absolutely undisputed the best hair in MASL. You know, excited to have him here in a few minutes.
Well, we've got a lot to get to, so let's get to it. Let's start off with our news segment, Jerry. And in the news tonight, Tacoma beats Empire in Ontario, 7-5, back on Thursday, December 1st. Juice Cox has a hat trick. Mike Ramos has a pair of goals. The Stars jump out to a 5-1 lead. They hang on for a 7-5 victory. Justin Stinson gets a hat trick for Empire, and the Strykers played without Frank Taillou and Robert Palmer, who were both taking care of points accumulation suspensions from the season prior. You tell me going in, Jerry, that the Strykers don't have Taillou. I'm going to say, okay, it's more of a fair fight. Tacoma usually goes to Toyota Arena, the place formerly known as Ontario, and gets a win at least once a year. So that's not that shocking. But I don't know about you. Watching the game, I was just really surprised with how slowly the Strikey Furies came out of the gate.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. And obviously, again, going into this, I had no idea until maybe a couple of days before that we weren't going to – I think actually I might have found out like on the show that Taillou was going to be out. Uzi still played. I'm talking about the King here. Frank Taillou was out. And then Robert Palmer, you know, those two players are definitely game changers. So I was not expecting this from Tacoma, however. You know, it's one of those things where Tacoma just didn't leave, you know, much hope at the end of last season. And so I wasn't looking like they were going to be all that great. And there also wasn't very many changes, to be honest, right? But, I mean, like you said, Juice Cox steps it up, hat trick, Mike Ramos, 2 goals. And, I mean, we have to give it up to Danny Waltman. I mean, that guy, again, he has those matches where if he shows up, it's going to be tough to get balls in his net. So, you know, yeah, and Susan says it here in the chat. Danny was a rock, you know, and I think that has a lot to do with the way the game went as well.
Agreed. Danny Waltman can steal a game, and first games can be really rough. You know, I just think that for a club that's looking to turn things around, this obviously wasn't the way to start your season. And I thought it was very interesting and something that I'll personally kind of push back against a bit, that it seemed like there was an erasing of Fury history, you know, talking about the first hat trick in Strykers history or the first goal in Strykers history.
Yeah.
And it's the same franchise. It's the exact same franchise with a different name. So it's Fury Strykers history, And as such, this club has lost 9 matches in a row now, going back to last season. Because you can go back to last season because it's the same franchise, you see.
Yeah.
So you can do that. And I'm not in any way here to, like, disparage them. I was surprised. I thought it was going to be a more rapid-paced type effort, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And I think it means that this weekend there's a lot on the line, even in the second weekend of the season, for the Fury Strykers.
Yeah. Fury Strikers. I agree. And that was a little odd as well for me. I think, and shout out to Philly and the doc over there calling the games. And, they did say, like, first goal in Strykers history and first, blue card in Strykers history and stuff like that. That was a little weird, but I also understand it. I think they're trying to, start anew, maybe start a new chapter. But like you said, I don't think that this game was a good way to start their season. Now, we get to face them twice, right? Back to back, Saturday there in Ontario and then on Sunday. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But, them having a couple of losses, we're going to talk about possibly some losses on our end too. So I don't want to, speak too badly about the Empire Strikers because this weekend's going to be a tough one. And I think it's going to be definitely a little bit more telling of what the Strikers can do. And I think we've said it too. The first month or so are going to be very difficult for all teams. So, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, as I discussed, I think many times last season or 2 seasons ago, or over the course of the last 2 seasons, let's put it that way. When the Fury, and I am speaking of the team in the past, when the Fury were the top seed or number 2 seed and the presumed favorite, to win the Ron Newman Cup finals, they had a team that had Frank Taillou, yes, Justin Stinson, yes, but also Charlie Gonzalez and also Maicon Diabreu.
Yep.
And Diabreu, especially the left footer, offered that extra element to the attack of the Fury. Charlie Gonzalez added so much to the attack of the Fury. And game 1 for the Strykers, Stinson is there. No Taillou, of course, no Charlie because he's a soccer. No Diabreu. He remains as an inactive on the Strykers roster, but it does not appear, at least for now, that Maicon Diabreu is coming back from Brazil. And so there's just a different level of attack, right? There's guys like Nestor Hernandez, Johnny Tapete, guys who can put the ball in the back of the net. But it's not the same as guys who are real impact players. And as we'll talk about in a little bit, the Strykers just added someone they think will be a real impact player to their attack going forward and for the rest of the season potentially. So I get it. I get it. I think that's what's really hurt Empire when they come up against the top sides is that the Sockers have so many ways to score on you. And right now for the Strykers, it's kind of, can Taillou do his thing? Can Stinson do his thing? Can you get one out of the back from a Tapete or a Robert Palmer? It's like it's very specific places where you can probably go to hunt the goals, and that means a defense can adjust to that accordingly.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've come to find about the Ontario Strykers, the fact that they are not very much a start of the season team. It takes a little while for them to get things going. But not just that, same thing for every game. They are not a team that's going to start out strong in any game. And the majority of the time, they press the gas near the end, going into the second half sometimes. And I think that's what we saw in this game where, they go down 5-1, but they don't let off. And so that's one thing too about Strykers is they can absolutely, regardless of how many goals down they may be, they can still come back if they decide to. And you mentioned Frank Tayu, I think him and just the team in general, they have a issue with consistency. I think that's one of the biggest things that we've seen from them too, is they have to be consistent when it matters. But again, bringing in somebody like who we're going to talk about is huge. And I see already there's talk in the chat here of that player. That's going to help them out because they need that help, like you just mentioned. They need that help up front. Who's going to be the goal scorer for them? Whereas we have plenty of options for them, at least in this first game. We just really didn't see it, since obviously Frank Tayo being out and all that. But just as a general, if you look at their roster, I mean, who do you expect to be their goal scorer this season? Do you think it's going to be Frank Tayo like it usually is?
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be Tayu. It's supposed to be NDI. And, I mean, we might as well just jump into it. We've teased it too much. The Strykers today announced that Adrian Perez, who is one of the great success stories of MASL, one that I don't think they've even hitched onto as much as they could have, honestly, because here's a player who came from MASL to MLS and went to LAFC, signed there, worked his way up, played matches for LAFC, started matches for LAFC, then left the program after 2 years, went to DC United the last couple years. I'm not sure that his outdoor career took off in DC United the way that maybe Adrian Perez expected to, because here he is. He's back in MASL. There's no, although he signed a deal for the year, I don't think there's any guarantee that if an MLS side or a USL Championship side with the right deal comes along, that Perez might not, look to return to the outdoor game in the spring. But either way, here's a left footer that the last time he was in the league, which was the year before Tayu came to Ontario, he was the lead scorer for the team. He was a near 30-goal scorer and an over 40-point player for the season. He and Charlie Gonzalez were the offense of the club. So, to me, this is just a great signing and a player that, unless something's changed, should bring a lot to the floor for Ontario and immediately right away become their most dangerous player right alongside Tayu.
Absolutely. I 100% agree on that. I think that Adrian Perez was behind two teams behind very stacked rosters, and that didn't help him out. It didn't mean that he didn't perform well. When he was with LAFC, I definitely was keeping up with him, and he was great. I think he did a fantastic job for what he was expected to do. He did it. He scored goals, and he was there with LAFC and really battling it out with DC United. I think also just he had to be behind some pretty heavyweights, and that didn't help him out. But the fact that not just one but two MLS teams thought highly enough of him to bring him in tells you the kind of quality that Adrian Perez is. And so I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm excited for Strykers, honestly, because bringing him back shows that they mean business, and they're trying to create, something great over in Empire. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Honestly, it is going to be tough, and if I'm not mistaken, he should be available to play against us coming in on Saturday and Sunday. So, definitely keep your eyes on him. That's one player that can be a game changer for sure.
Definitely agree. Now, Tacoma beating Empire was a bit of a surprising result, and we are going to move off of this because I think Philly and the doctor are like, guys, you just did our opening 2 segments of our podcast?
Right. We've heard this before.
If you guys just want to download this and upload it to the Striking Fury feed for, and then just chill for 10 or 15 minutes, you can do that. Okay, but we do move on. That result was surprising. The next result was straight up shocking. Mesquite beats Monterrey 2-1. It was 2-0 most of the match. It was 1-0 for a half. It was 2-0 in the third, and Monterrey didn't score until they brought a 6th attacker on in the final couple of minutes. And I'll tell you what, you got to look at this one of a couple ways, Jerry. On one side, great debut, great return for Mesquite, and in particular, soccer's one-game goalkeeper last year, Eduardo Pollo Cortez, and a former Soccer's Overtime guest, Eduardo Pollo Cortez, so friend of the podcast. He came very close to getting a shutout in his first game back with Outlaws, very, very close. On the other side, Flash had no attack, man.
No,
And
at all.
when we did our Western Conference preview last week on the show, we talked about all the offensive players that went to Chihuahua and stayed. I mean, it really showed. They didn't have any semblance of an attack. And the one guy from Liga MX that they were really excited about, Jorginho, could not play. The Polish guy who weirdly is named Jorginho. So he wasn't in the lineup. Maybe they're counting on him scoring like all the goals. But I'm sorry. I mean, it's not even just that they didn't score. They didn't really even look to score for good portions of that match. It was weird.
It was really weird. I watched the majority of the game. I was doing a couple of other things, so I was trying to keep track of it. And it was just super surprising to see these two teams. Something felt off watching this game, to be honest. And honestly, we mentioned it, and we're probably going to say it for a little while, but maybe this was just a throwaway game for them, and it was like a warm-up. That's what it felt like almost. Again, kudos to Outlaws for, like you said, scratching out a pair of goals there and winning it, but it honestly didn't. It just didn't feel like an MASL game. I think I saw some memes going out too where, it's like, is this an outdoor game? What is this? Why is it 2-1? I don't think I've ever seen a 2-1 game in MASL before. I honestly don't think I ever have.
Well, this is where I'm going to offer just a couple of cautions for folks, because the first time we saw Chihuahua last year, we beat them at home 4-1, and it didn't look like the Savage could score. And then the year moved on. Players gained confidence with one another. They started to work together, and of course, they added talent throughout the year. Pareja came later. Popper came later. Torres came last. So they kept adding as the year went on. I firmly believe, unless they are completely and totally out of it, Monterrey will keep adding as the year goes on, and they will keep growing as the year goes on. So, while it was shocking, and while if you just looked at that match, you go, holy cow, let's rethink everything. Maybe the Flash, don't have the team that we thought. Good point by Gio in the chat. Eric Tovar hasn't played in a couple of years. Brian Aguiar, he was with them, with Chihuahua for a little while, but hasn't been with this group for a long time. So probably it takes this team a little while to get their feet underneath them. But I also agree with Miss Whatsit. I thought the energy level in that match was like really weird, low, off-putting. You were kind of feeling like you were watching a team in molasses, and that might just be Week 1 blues. I don't know, but it was odd.
I think that has to do with some of it, at least. It's just that first week, and yeah, I think that's one of the things kind of went through my mind too. That what you were just mentioning is Chihuahua. We just were not aware of what they were going to be like, and we spoke so highly of them because obviously Mexican teams tend to be of a higher quality, but it took them until 8 games or whatever it was for them to really find their legs and start just destroying teams and become the Chihuahua that now we all fear. I think that it's very likely, if very probable, that that's going to be happening with Monterrey. I just don't see Monterrey staying at this level that I saw with the game against Mesquite. I just don't see that. For Mesquite, I mean, what did you see there? for them, I don't know if I can say the same that I just did for Monterey.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Poyle was really good.
He's great.
George DeLeon was out there, ex of Ontario, went from Mesquite to Ontario and came back. He was okay. There really wasn't much to the attack for Mesquite. Very little happened. Very little was going on. The kid from Dallas scored one, Luis Morales.
That's right.
They're going to really be counting on him to do a lot this year for Mesquite. And, it's just going to and I agree with just about everything I'm seeing in the chat right now. It's just going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take a little bit of time for all of these teams, but especially the teams that didn't play the last couple of years, Monterrey and Mesquite. They just don't have the reps under their legs the way that they have had in previous years. It's going to be harder to start. It's going to be harder to get rolling. But once they do get rolling, I think they will roll. And I agree with this final comment there from Spole. Both Mexican sides will be scary in the playoffs. Almost unquestionably
100%.
so. I mean, now listen, if Monterrey scores 1 goal a game, they will not be so scary. But they will score more than 1 goal a game. I am confident.
Yeah, no. This was, I think, just one of those odd games where it's not going to reflect the rest of the season. I don't think we should see it that way. It was just, we'll take it for what it was. It was the first game between two teams coming back into a league with players that probably haven't had enough experience yet to understand each other and how they're going to play and with each other, and it's going to get better and better. That's what I'm excited for, is to look back in, maybe a couple months. We're talking about this team and probably saying something completely different, and that's what I'm hoping for, because, I mean, it's no fun unless you have something, somebody to compete against. And so I think that these two teams, especially Monterrey, I have to say, Flash is showing, at least on their roster and what it looks like on paper, like it should be much more, just like the way Chihuahua was last year and the way I'm sure Chihuahua is going to be this year. That's one of the games I'm looking forward to, man. Chihuahua sidekicks is going to be interesting.
Well, as we get ready, because we're just a couple minutes away from welcoming in our live guest, Brian Farber, to the show this evening, let's just knock out one news note here, Jerry, and then we'll push the rest to after the interview, and that is the soccer season ticket member party was held on Sunday at the Calafino Sublimit Lounge up in Carlsbad. We had a terrific turnout. We had well over 100 of our season ticket members come out and join us for the event. Got to watch some World Cup action all together. Got to hang out and mingle with the players. And after that, we did a Q&A session, and we also did a kit reveal for our season ticket members. So at the event, we revealed our home, away, and our third kit exclusively to our season ticket members. Those folks were kindly asked to not post the third kit, and we're not going to show it to you either because we're still waiting. That will be a couple weeks down the road. We've got a lot of exciting things planned around it. But we will show you tonight the home and road kits that you will see on the backs of our players this weekend, of course, starting on the road, and then Sunday at home. So here's how the season ticket members saw it at our season ticket member event. Craig Childs wearing the retro blue with the yellow collar, yellow cuff. That will be our home jersey this year. We're wearing the retro all year long as the primary kit. You may remember last year our yellow retros were our third kit. And so we would wear them a little bit home, a little bit road, a little bit not at all. This is our home kit. This is the kit we will wear for just about, not every, but just about every home match. And that is the Sockers retro blue. And I said it at the event, Jerry, and I'll say it again. I personally think in the long history of the San Diego Sockers, that's the prettiest kit that we've ever worn.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I went back and I've been doing some research and kind of trying to learn just for myself. And I love the history of the Sockers, by the way. For those that are listening, if you haven't had a chance, if you haven't been around long enough to know some of the history from the Sockers, there's just so much to dive into. There's so much to know. So many fantastic players that have come through here. Some of the stories just blow my mind. And along with that came seeing some of the older kits. And this one specifically, I think the blue, with the yellow trim is just one of my favorite of all time. And it's such a classic look that the Sockers have sported for so long. If you go back, I mean, for many, many years, there's been different iterations of this specific kit. And to have it be our home kit this season, I think just pays homage to the history and the many years of being the champions, and being just that team of San Diego that just is the Sockers, is the Lords of Indoor, as we've come to call them. And Craig, one of the things that I really like too, this white kit, a lot of you guys may recognize it too. It's been around in a different iteration of this as well. But if you look very closely, you might see something there. You want to tell everybody what that is?
Yeah, exactly. A little added detail to this flight kit with the collaboration of Flight Sports and our director of merchandise, Ezra Burdett. The relief, the silhouette of the Coronado Bridge appears across the midriff of the players. You can see the supports and you can see the span of the Coronado Bridge kind of going opposite to the diagonal sash that carries from right shoulder down to left hip. So to me, while that kit was out there a little bit as our road kit last year and something that was comparable to Cardiff Sockers, it's one that we had not sold. And this year, we will be selling the home blues, the road whites, and when it becomes available January 8th, our third kit. All three will be available at the Sockers merchandise stand and in our online shop. So really excited about that, and I think this is just the best batch of kits that we've had in a great long while.
Yeah, no, I agree. By the way, thank you to everybody that is here in the chat that was there for the watch party. I couldn't make it, or I'm sorry, not watch party. It was a watch party / season ticket holder party. And that event, I wasn't able to make it. Was still not feeling all that great, and I had to take care of a couple of other things. But thank you so much to everybody for not posting the third kit and not taking pictures. If you did take a picture, thank you for not posting it. But I'm still very interested to know what those of you that were there think about it. Without spilling any beans in the chat, please let me know what you guys thought. It's something that we're very, very proud of here at the Sockers that we're going to be releasing, and that's why we're kind of secretive about it. And I'm just very excited, Craig, that nobody spilled the beans. Like, it's nowhere to be found. I was trying to find it and see if I could catch somebody, and just be like, hey, we said you couldn't post this, but nothing has happened. Everybody respected our wishes, and I really, really, really appreciate it. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh, and you're already getting the love that you were looking for in the chat, so that's working out great.
Yes.
That is working out well. Hey, right now, let's welcome in. He's been patiently waiting. Our dear friend, the great veteran on this team.
He's not here yet.
He's not there?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
He said he was in the waiting room.
No. Did you send him the right link? He's definitely not here.
You never saw him trying to get in like Farber?
No. You mean like
I
Pardo?
like Pardo, sorry.
No.
I'm like literally texting Farber. Please try again.
Ooh. Okay, Marlisha. I see that. Well, I
well,
feel
you'll
like
just have to get a silver pen, Marlisha.
or gold.
Yes. Oh, a gold pen.
Ooh, that would look
be
pretty cool.
Incredible. All right, so Brian Farber is dialing in as soon as he is in. No, everyone who says he's fixing his hair, he's out shopping. No, this is on us.
He's not.
This is on us. This isn't on Farbs. All right. Here's the thing. When someone enters, okay, now he says he's in the waiting room.
No, he's here now.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, when someone jumps in, he jumps into Jerry's screen, not to my screen. So then he asked me if he was there, and I just assumed. And you know what happens, Jerry, when you assume?
Yes, I do know.
You make an ass out of Uma Thurman. And
Uma Thurman?
It happened.
What?
You make an ass out of you and me, and then it turned into you make an ass out of Uma Thurman. I don't know where that happened, but
A.
Yeah.
Uma. That's I'm trying to. Okay, there it is. There you go.
All right. Here he is. Here he is, El Guapo himself.
El Guapo.
Brian Farber. making a return appearance. A multi-time return appearance.
Oh, there's a little bit of an echo. By the way. Let me see if
Do you have earbuds?
Do you have earbuds, maybe?
I haven't said anything yet. Do you need me to put in earbuds?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, please do, because we can hear us in.
Okay. Well, let me do that real fast. Turn this one off. You guys are killing me right now. What an entrance.
Well, I know.
Hang on.
We'll do it all over.
We'll do it all over.
Turn Bluetooth on. Okay.
All right.
1 second.
All right.
Make sure that it's connecting. And give me the sound.
Check.
We're good.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Sorry, Brian. There was a
Video
big
watchers. This was fun. Bonus podcast listeners. Let's just edit from here. 3, 2, 1. Hey, let's welcome in Brian Farber. Here's Farbs live from his home. Welcome back, Brian. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Rough crowd, says Espen.
Yeah, I
in
see
the
that.
chat. I know. It is. It's a rough crowd. Well, Farbs, we got a lot for you here on tonight's Soccer's Overtime. We're heading right into the season. It's 4 days till the season opener. It's 5 days till the home opener. So let's dive into this. What are your thoughts? 1 week into training camp, 1 week in a couple days. Where do you see the team standing right now?
Yeah, I would say most teams after back-to-back championships would come in a bit complacent, and maybe the off season has kind of taken the best on some, and maybe not taking the preseason that serious. But I think since we did have a shorter preseason than the rest, it's put us on kind of high alert to get prepared for next weekend quickly. I would say that there's been no complacency. The team is officially all here now. We got Pino in camp. He was the missing piece of the puzzle. So I would say, everyone looks good. A lot of guys have been playing in tournaments for money in the off season and doing well, winning some of them and maybe winning a lot of them. But that's not always the case for some of us. Why I can't go and play in these tournaments. I have a job. I have to stay home. I have to do other things in my off season. So I've been hitting this treadmill over here to my side and getting myself ready. But I think ultimately the group looks solid. And for being a week away, I think we'll be a little rusty just because it's the beginning of the season. Ontario's had a game on us, but I think we'll be okay.
One of the things you just mentioned was the word complacent. And, obviously you have some experience. I don't know if you've experienced, kind of having to do such a quick turnaround coming into the preseason before you have a game. But what do you think, just in your experience, how do the Sockers avoid being complacent and going into the season, going into this weekend specifically?
It all comes from preparation. This is not our first rodeo. I think everybody on this team understands their body and how to take care of it, and our coaching staff understands our players, and we understand each other. This group is tight. So complacency can set in for anybody at any moment. It takes one playoff as a goal against at the wrong moment cost us a game. So I would say we're all kind of holding each other accountable to be fit. Everybody is fit. As fit as you can be without training on a daily basis. And so now us being in camp for a couple weeks, everybody's starting to look like they're in form.
One thing real quick before you move on, Craig, is I wanted to mention that in talking to the guys and talking to not just Brian, but everybody else, they have the same exact idea. And everybody says the same thing. It's about knowing your body. Because I was asking the guys, I was saying, hey, how difficult is this going to be for you guys to kind of get things going, And it's like, well, like we know our bodies, and luckily we have a coaching staff that also respects our knowledge of our own bodies. And when we say, hey, you know what, like I know my body, this is I can't do this, or I'm gonna have to take a step back, or how about we change it up and do something else during practice, and they listen to you guys, right? Which is gonna be super helpful, is what I assume. But it's something that I keep hearing, and that makes me happy, because as a fan, if I take a step back and look at the team, that what's more important than keeping everybody healthy? Like that's the one thing that plagues teams. And so yeah, just wanted to throw that in there, a little behind the scenes stuff for everybody.
Hey, to dovetail off that though, Farbs, it's one thing to start the season. I don't remember. It's probably happened, but I don't remember the last time that the soccer started with 2 games in 2 days. It's been a game and a week and a game and a week and then kind of like easing into it before. But here, you're not just playing 2 games in back-to-back days. You'll play a 7 o'clock game and a 5 o'clock game. You'll play, or it might be 6 o'clock game, 5 o'clock game. You'll play 2 games in 23 hours. How does it change the dynamic? Because knowing your bodies, all of you should take Sunday off.
Yeah, it throws a wrench into our plans of trying to ease into the season. Also, you take your first game, you kind of watch tape, you learn from it, and we're going to have a very short turnaround to be able to learn from our mistakes and understand what we're trying to do as a group. That stuff will come over time, and it won't come in a day. So that will be tough. And then, yeah, some of us are older players, so the bodies doesn't recover as fast. And luckily, we have a bunch of young guys on the team that can handle back-to-back games and go out there and put in a full effort on the second night. But I think it will be. Luckily, we have some depth and we have a roster that can facilitate. And it will probably be a different lineup or a slightly different lineup from game 1 to game 2.
Now, we were just talking before you came on, Farbs, about the big news today in the MASL, and it involves the Strykers. They announced the return of Adrian Perez, who had been playing in MLS the last 4 seasons, both with LAFC and then with DC United. Now he's back in MASL, a kid who brings a lethal left, and certainly when he was indoors, was one of the most dangerous players in the league. What do you think about both him returning to Ontario and also kind of what that adjustment as a guy who's gone outdoor to indoor yourself in your career, what that would be for him having been 4 years away from the sport?
Yeah, he'll be fine. He's a very dynamic player. He'll make quick adjustments. The only adjustments he'll have to worry about is, the long balls versus the tight little spaces and using the boards. But he's already got that history. It is a tough transition for most players to go from the outdoor to the indoor game. But luckily, he's already experienced the indoor game, so he'll be probably just fine. I'm assuming he's been very fit, so I think that he'll have that going for him. But yeah, that's big news for Ontario. The kid is a star. I mean, we've seen it. He did it against us. Just having to man mark him. He's a great player. So that's a huge pickup for Ontario.
I see a question. I'm going to throw this out here just because I don't want to forget it. It's a really good one. It says, do you think schedulers make it more difficult for championship teams the next season for parity? What do you mean? I wonder if he means like having 2 games back-to-back like that to start the season. I think that might be part of that.
Maybe that's part of his question. I would say that schedulers don't put any extra thought into much on that other than maybe matchups, right? Like, let's say last season we didn't match up against certain group. Like if we didn't go to play Baltimore and Baltimore, Florida and Florida, or Milwaukee and Milwaukee, which I think we did all of those last year, but let's just say that we didn't. Then just this year, then that would be on our schedule. I think the back-to-back games just happens to be that we're starting a week or 2 later than some of the other teams, and we need to get in the swing of it.
100%. Farbs, let's transition a little bit, talk about yourself. You've intimated, whether it be on the socials or elsewhere, that this might be your last season with the Sockers on the floor. Now, Zay Roberto has said that like 5 times, I think, in his career. I still saw him out there. I know with Phil, it's hard to get away, but is that where you're putting your chips right now? Do you think this is the last year for you?
Yeah, I would say it is. I've had a good go. This is year 17, so I've had a good time. I've enjoyed it. I still enjoy it. Actually, I go out to practice now and I have a bit of a smile on my face because I'm still able to do it. So it'll be tough to walk away from, but I think that being part of the Sockers family, I'll find another slot somewhere in the front office or some level of helping on the community side. But I do think that this kind of has to be it. I mean, let's just say I have an incredible year and I feel healthy and good. Maybe that conversation changes. But the way that the past 2 years have gone with my foot injury and COVID, like I shouldn't even have played. Honestly, I shouldn't have played last year. So I didn't want that to be my last season. I didn't want that to be the final one that I had to put out there. So it was time to come back and kind of finish it off strong.
When you just mentioned it, the having to go through injury with your foot and other things. Where are you at right now physically and going into the season?
Well, I had a full plan for the off season. I took a lot of time to heal. I took a couple PRP shots in my foot, and I just kind of prayed that it was helping. I started noticing that the pain was less and less. I felt like it was making a difference over week to week comparison. I did everything I possibly could to start to make sure that was healed, but I wasn't allowed to run. I have bought a curved treadmill. It's less impact on my foot. I started riding a cycle bike, like a road bike out there. I don't wear spandex, but I definitely ride a road bike. And and anything else I could do to try to get fit, maintain some fitness. And then honestly, I started feeling pretty good, and I started going out to the Tuesday, Thursday morning kick-arounds with some of the retired players. And super unfortunate injury. I popped my ankle really badly. I thought it was my Achilles. I was out for 2 months, and that actually is actually a little over 10 weeks. And I just got back running maybe a week before preseason. So I was happy for the extended season and not starting preseason sooner because I probably wouldn't have been available. I've been fortunate to not re-roll my ankle during this preseason. And I feel, honestly, after going through that, I was like, oh, here we go again. But I feel a lot better than I anticipated. And yeah, I'm excited. Honestly, I go through practice and I walk away being like, I'm still in one piece. Like that's a great sign, and I'm gonna keep trying to do that.
I'm just going to knock wood on your behalf right over here. There it is.
Thank you.
Knock wood. Farber's feeling good and healthy. Your good friend, all of our friend, Craig Giles, and we talked to him a lot about it, kind of found this sweet spot last year where he no longer commanded the shift usage that he did in the prime of his career. He picked his spots much more judiciously. He knew when to get off the floor as much as when to get on. And he turned around and had one of his best seasons in recent years, kind of just finding that perfect usage sweet spot. Is that something that you think about in this season?
Oh, absolutely. Shift management from game to game is huge. It also makes a big difference on like where you are, where you're feeling also, but also like who you're shifting with, right? So Craig is a smart guy. He gets to shift with Christian, who can go and do the dirty work and put him on at the right times where he can do his thing offensively. And Craig is the best offensive weapon that I think we've ever seen in at least the last 15 years. So the numbers don't lie. Craig can score a goal from anywhere, and he just needs the ball going north, right? And he doesn't need to go south. So he also is smart that he recognizes the skill level of guys like the boy and Leo and Charlie and Brandon and everybody else, that he knows where to be with those guys and when he should be on. And he'll pass on a shift if it doesn't make sense based on what he's reading from the game to take the next one to be in a better position to go and, contribute. So I think Craig has really figured it out. In my setting, I'll probably be looking at it in a similar situation, but more in terms of like length of my shifts. I will just be constantly getting off at the right time to set up whoever I'm with.
You're getting a lot of love here from our fans here that are live So yeah, everybody's saying squad depth will definitely help you stay healthy. That's what we're hoping. But yeah, it's good to have you back this year, and we'll see. Uh, we're looking at other players and things like that. Like you said, that could help you out. One of them being Charlie Gonzalez being back a second year. Um, how do you see him, and how is he fitting in so far, man? Obviously, he was, I think, an important part of last season, but coming into this season, what have you guys talked about? How does he seem? What's his attitude like coming in? How we feeling about Charlie?
I love Charlie. I didn't like playing against Charlie. He does this little foot on top of the ball roll, and you just don't know if he's going to go in, out, back. And as soon as he goes back and you try to close the space, he's already going one of the other directions, and it's very frustrating to be a defender against Charlie. So when we got our opportunity against Charlie on this team, I was really excited. Honestly, for me, Charlie was like a missing piece of the puzzle that we weren't winning championships in prior years. And we obviously had that season where we did pull it off. But then when we got the ability to get Charlie on the team, it only strengthened what we already had. And so getting him into the midfield, getting him on set pieces, his composure in front of goal, and his ability to lay off like perfectly weighted passes for runners. I want to shift with him, not on his line. I want to be on the field with him because he's the type of player that will put the ball where I need it.
Farbs, before we let you go, last week we had the chance to do the Soccer's photo day, video day, take care of all of our content creation for the year. Of course, we had you involved. And one of the things that we're going to start rolling out slowly is our collection of Soccer's memes, of the Soccer's recreating memes, of the most popular memes on the internet. And you had the chance to do the Leonardo DiCaprio Great Gatsby martini toast meme, the kind of the good for you meme, which we'll be using. How did you enjoy your turn as a meme?
Well, I haven't seen it in final cut, so I'm really excited to see what you guys were able to do with it. But I think what you guys as a team have done on the marketing side, and it's going to be really fun for our fans to be able to see all the different ways that we can contribute, and they can participate with us on categories and everything else. So definitely excited, and yeah, that was definitely a good one for me. It was very easy. I didn't have to say anything. I just got to make a facial expression, so I have no problem with that. Ask the refs.
It was so like, it just came so naturally. We're like, yes, this was perfect. As we're going through and picking, for those of you that are listening, like there's a lot of stuff that we were able to shoot, and we're so excited. This is one of the things that we've done this year that's just I'm so excited about. But as we're picking, our actors for certain memes, like immediate,
Casting.
We're casting.
We're producers, we're directors, we
That's
cast.
right. That's right. But Craig, tell me if I'm wrong. There was no other option for the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Like there was no other option.
You
it was
immediately
Brian,
received the invitation.
Brian Farber is doing this, and it worked. I mean, you were just meant for that role,
Yeah, I appreciate that. I had to. I wasn't perfectly fit for it though because I couldn't tie my bow tie fast enough for the meme, so I just went no tie. I have not worn a bow tie since last season, and I'm a bit rusty.
I couldn't help you. I've clipped on every bow tie I've ever had in my life, so
I was close.
It's not that couth, man.
Not tight enough.
Not that couth. Well, Farbs, really appreciate your time. As always, our best to Christy and the fam. And we'll see you out at training tomorrow morning. We'll see you out on the floor this weekend.
Sounds good. We'll see you guys.
Thanks, Brian. See ya.
The great Brian Farber, our guest today on Soccer's Overtime. Always love having that guy on. Obviously, he'll probably have a role in what we do communications-wise once he's done because he's just such a great spokesman for the sport, for the team. He understands the game so well. We always love having him on. Craig Childs offers his regards. The captain couldn't make it tonight because this is the week for Cardiff Sockers. It's their biggest tournament of the entire week. So he's like practicing and then putting on his director's hat and getting after it. We'll even have more on that momentarily. But he wished to come and said in a couple of weeks he'll be happy to be there.
We missed this question. Sorry about that. But it says, any new Calafino commercials? I guess you'll just have to wait and see if there's anything.
Yeah,
out there.
Good question. Good
I
question.
think
I
there
haven't
is one.
personally received one, so I don't know that they've shot one.
I
But
think there's one, but I'm not sure that Brian is in it. I think there's a new edit of all the different commercials together. Calafino definitely will be everywhere this season, not just in our games, but other places. I do know that, but yeah, that's a great question, dude. Brian was perfect for that, by the way. And for those of you that are wondering right now, yes, it is as good as you're imagining it. We have the fantastic Justice Department who shot a lot of these things, but this is a kind of like Craig and our eyes baby, and I'm excited to start sharing some of these. That's the first one we ever talk about, Craig.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
You know which one my favorite one is. I mean,
of course.
you know
Well,
which
you know
one
my favorite one is. We did a few. There was a lot that we wanted to do, just obviously time and all of that. But if you guys enjoy it, we might just make it like a thing. Because, man, dude, my favorite is your favorite is going to be everybody's favorite. And I can't wait. I can't wait for that one to be out.
It will be everyone's favorite. I agree. Coming soon. Coming very, very, very soon. All right, let's get through all of the rest of our headlines and get out of here. We did miss one game. I don't really need to talk about it, but Baltimore beat UCFC 8-7. Lucas Roque got MASL Offensive Player of the Week with 3 goals and an assist. Tony Donatelli had a hat trick. Gordy Gerson had a hat trick for Utica. Good for Gordy.
Let's go.
Psyched for Gordy. It was a good match. It was a better match than either of the Western matches. Just happened to be the best match of the week. And a really cool thing that Baltimore did, I believe the kid's name was Josh Diaz. Signed a one-day contract with the Baltimore Blast and scored the first goal of the match ceremonially. So reminded me of in 2014 when we did something very similar with Evan Mundine, signed him to a one-day contract, and he went down and scored on the Stars. And then Farber went in goal, and the Stars scored on Farber. We started the game up at 1-1 and kind of went from there. But really cool, really classy from Baltimore, and that was great to see. So congrats to the Blast for jumping out 1-0.
Very cool.
On Monday, the Sockers and the sport of soccer got some really great news, which was the announcement that the Lord of all indoors, Steve Jungle, would be inducted into the National Soccer Hall of Fame class of 2023. And as such, Jerry, the San Diego Sockers, your beloved Sockers, the team that you are here listening about on Soccer's Overtime, will have 2 entries into the National Soccer Hall of Fame. And there they are, Landon Donovan and Steve Jungle, both going in to the National Soccer Hall of Fame class of 2023. I'm just so excited and proud to be able to have that type of graphic and to make that type of statement. Those guys were actually Sockers, and they are actually Hall of Famers.
That's craziness. And shout out to the rest of the class of 2023. But what an awesome time for San Diego soccer-related adjacent people. Because Landon Donovan definitely played in a Sockers uniform that is not photoshopped.
You can see it. There it is, right?
Yeah, it actually happened. But also, Steve Jango, that player right there. And I think it's been mentioned before, he is the one number 7 that could potentially be retired. His contributions to the indoor game, what a fantastic player he was. And you saw if you don't already follow on Instagram, the National Soccer Hall of Fame account, you should. There's a video on there, and actually I think you can see it on our Instagram as well, of the goal that he made, and then immediately ran straight to the lockers. Do you know the background behind that?
Yeah, that was an overtime game-winning goal. I believe it was Game 2 of the 1985 finals. against the Baltimore Blast. And yeah, he was down in the low left corner and squeaked one in, kind of an impossible angle. He ran across the goal mouth celebrating.
Yeah.
And then the door opened and like the tunnel to their locker room was right there, like right there next to him. And he just took off. And like the rest of the team did too. Just
So
followed him,
funny.
just took off right into the locker room. Like, okay, we scored. See ya.
It's so funny to see it, but yeah, you go back and watch that. But Landon Donovan, I was mentioning in San Diego because Landon Donovan and Steve. Tell me if I'm saying it right. Is it Jungle?
Jungle, like
Like Jungle? Okay.
Yeah,
I
Jungle.
want to make sure I'm saying it correctly. But Landon Donovan and Steven Jungle are joined by Lauren Holiday, DeMarcus Beasley, Kate Markgraf, but also Joe Ellis, who happens to be my boss.
Incredible.
At
Right.
San Diego Wave. And so another now San Diego adjacent, as I said, person. So that's 3 people in San Diego sports that are going into the class of 2023 National Soccer Hall of Fame. Congratulations to all 6 of the members of the inductees. I'm honestly thinking I want to go. This is happening May 6th next year in Frisco, Texas at the National Soccer Hall of Fame. Would love to go and see this actually happen. But what a fantastic moment. And like you said, what a proud moment for the Soccer's organization to have these 2 in the Hall of Fame, man. Like that's, I think you said it, the biggest, the most important recognition you can receive, I think.
Yeah, it's the ultimate recognition for a career, and it's clearly overdue for Jungle, whose great years were in the 1970s and 80s. For Landon Donovan, it's right on time.
Yeah.
They had to wait for him to retire from us in order to induct him, in order for the clock to start for him to be eligible to go into the National Soccer Hall of Fame. So isn't that wild, though, to think that Landon Donovan scored the last goal of his professional career and Steve Jungle scored the last goal of his professional career for the San Diego Sockers?
That's awesome. That is so crazy and amazing.
And I agree with Suzanne, by the way, in the chat too. I think Landon's doing a really good job on the World Cup broadcast, both as an analyst and when he's been in studio as well. I think Landon's shown very well in Qatar. He's had a good time.
Nice, very cool.
Yeah, good on those guys. All right,
Congratulations.
good on you. Moving on.
Good on you.
Okay, let's get into this weekend. Let's get into everything that's going to happen this weekend for the Sockers and the Strykers. Oh, hang on, real quick. Marlisha says, I forgot to ask at the season ticket members party, Sockers game announcers. Yeah, let's just mention it real quick. We'll throw out a release a little later in the week. But yeah, we're running it back. So myself, Nate Abreu, Melissa May, our TVX video crew, we are all back for 2022-23. And in addition, as we talked about 2 weeks ago on the show, we're so happy to welcome in Tony and Chiva as well as our Spanish language broadcasters. They will make their debut on Sunday. So really excited. Our match will be on MASL_soccer on Saturday. It'll be on MASL_soccer 3 on Sunday. And I assume the Spanish will be on 4. But stay tuned. And we can't wait to get it rolling. Really excited for that. Okay, so the Sockers head into a weekend in Ontario. We talked about a lot of this in the first half hour of the show in terms of where Empire stands, what they've done to add. They're getting Tayu back. They're getting Berto Palmer back. Adrian Perez will be back. The Sockers, by contrast, will be shorthanded on Saturday in Ontario. And it starts with the captain because Craig Childs, the finals of that Cardiff Soccer tournament is on Saturday. I will just tell you behind the curtain type stuff that when the Sockers were talking with the league about the schedule, we had been told at one point that the 11th would be the first game. And that's when Childs locked in the tournament to be the way it was. And then the actual schedule came out, and there was a game on the 10th. So for anyone who's out there thinking like, oh, my gosh, where's Craig Childs' priorities? He's the captain of the team, et cetera, et cetera. this is a conflict that could have been avoided, we thought was avoided, and then became unavoidable, but MASL gonna MASL. So that happened. So no Childs in game one. It happens. It happened. It happens. One injury for the Sockers at the beginning of the year to report of note, which is that Sean Callahan, who I think is a real big glue piece of this team, has had a meniscus issue. He's about to have surgery, and he'll probably be out 4 to 6 weeks. Let's just put it like that. He'll probably be out 4 to 6 weeks. So missing, not one of your frontline midfielders, but a guy that you really count on to be that defensive runner, to play those hard work shifts. Sean Callahan will be missed. Eddie Velez, one of those veterans who has not retired, kind of the same joke that we have with Farbs. He came up a little banged up, like right at the beginning of the first practice of the season, and Eddie won't be available for selection this weekend, most certainly. So I'll tell you, and just stay tuned, you will see a couple new names and faces on the Sockers roster in this opening weekend. That will happen. A couple of guys who are brand new to this team, to this league, people who have been in training camp, who have been here for the last week and a half, will be signed this week. And when they are signed, we will talk about them. We'll introduce you to them. But a couple of younger players, younger, fresher legs are here, and undoubtedly, at least Saturday, will be in the lineup. Will they be rotated out on Sunday? We'll find out. Needless to say, things are set on paper where the games are not played. Things set up well for the Strykers. Match 2 versus match 1. Tayu back, Palmer back, Perez in the fold. Everyone's got a game under their belt. They're at home. They're hungry. Soccer's no Childs, no Callahan, couple of young kids in the lineup. First time we'll have ever seen them. I guess we need a challenge. It's only fair. Sockers went 23-0-1, 6-0-1 in the playoffs. Put a little challenge out there. So I think it's going to be a real challenge on Saturday.
Yeah, but I would also remind everybody, there's a certain player by the name of Iran Pollo Ruiz who happens to be back. And he was not with us the majority of last season. There was only a couple of times we were able to bring him in. So I would say that it kind of brings us back to square one. Yeah, but you're right. I think, as they're getting stronger, especially with bringing somebody like Adrian Perez, and, we're walking in on somewhat shorthanded, it's going to be an interesting time. And also, may I remind everybody that this is the one team, the Ontario Fury was the only team last season that handed us our one loss, right? We ended up 23-1, going into, 2 games technically that were not officially won during regular standard time of the game. And the one game that we did lose was against Ontario Fury, a.k.a. now the Empire Strykers. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can bring their firepower the way that we have been expecting it, now adding Adrian Perez. But it'll be interesting to see if we can, hold it together for the first game. It'll be our first, their second. But I wanted to throw that out there and remind everybody that we do still have, we still have Iram, and we have a couple other players that I would say are pretty good, Craig. I would say are pretty good.
Chicken's back in the coop.
Let's go.
We might let him loose. Last time we saw the chicken running out of the coop at Toyota, he was just about the finals MVP.
Yep.
Against the Ontario Fury, the team formerly known as the Ontario Fury. Now, one last thing, and I do not know if it will impact the lineup on Sunday. I don't think that matters. I think it's a human being first and foremost. Brandon Escoto, our great Juras, shared some incredibly tragic news on his Facebook feed yesterday that his brother, Nathaniel Ivan Juarez Escoto, died last week, and his funeral was today in Tijuana. And Churras has not been, of course, at practice yesterday, today. He wasn't at the season ticket member event. This just happened. It's incredibly tragic. I don't really have any further details beyond what Churras has shared himself. Knowing Brandon, I would expect to see him on the floor this weekend, but, you know, you don't even know. Some people channel it all into their athleticism, and that's the one time they can find peace is on the field. For other people, their heart breaks, and it's hard to reconcile. I have no idea what to expect. All we can do is offer the man our condolences, a heart, a hug, and a warm embrace, and the hope for much better things to come.
Yeah, we, thoughts and we send happy vibes to the Escoto family. It's just heartbreaking to hear. Churras, si estás escuchando, te mandamos un abrazote y esperamos que la familia esté en paz, con calma, y esperamos que descanse en paz, tu hermano. And we're just, on behalf of our entire Strykers family, we all wish your family, obviously the best. It is not an easy time, but just know that you have all of us to lean on. That it's just terrible news, man. But I think if I know anything about Churras, and I think you mentioned it, I think he's gonna go with the first, which is the first part of it, not the second part of it. The first part of it being that he's gonna use it, channel it, and show up and be stronger than ever. That's what I would hope, at least. And I think Brandon is one of those people that can do that. I don't think I think it's human to obviously, be upset and to go through the kind of steps of mourning. But I think that him as an athlete, I think that he's very strong, and I think I think he's gonna be okay. What a tough time to go through.
Yeah, I think about the man and the family before all the rest, and it's easy for us, the soccer talkers, to think about how it affects the soccer. But just all of our, like you said, all of our thoughts, all of our warm feelings to Churras, to his entire family, and to hopes for better things, and for peace for the family. Awkwardly transitioning back briefly to the match. We talked about the things that changed in Ontario, from the name to the colors to the logo to everything. One thing hasn't changed, and it's the thing that I think as a Strykers fan you kind of hang your hat on going into these matches, which is that the defense is the same in Ontario. The defense is the same, and there's a lot of guys who are veteran warriors on that team that you have a ton of respect for when it's, an Israel Cisse and Uzi Tayu, etc. And at the same time, you understand these are the guys that the Strykers have been able to put goals on in the past. These are guys that the Strykers have been able to defeat in the past. And I think that's one thing that hasn't really changed a lot in Ontario over the years. I think their attack has changed over the years. I think they've changed goalkeepers, and they've had some success with some great goalkeeping performances. But even when a Clayson DeLima or a Chris Toth has been super good for Ontario the last couple of years, I feel like they generally have still been in a shooting gallery, along the way. So the Strykers should always feel confident going into any match. But I think when you do have the level of offensive firepower, even without a Craig Giles for one game, I feel like that's where you kind of have to hang your hat if you're going to come up with a win in game one in a situation that's not really well set up for you. I think the way you find it is by finding those offensive players getting their spaces and getting their goals, in Ontario.
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't really thought about that too much, about the fact that this is the same defense. It'll be interesting to see, again, how this game goes, how, especially for us going into it, that's what I'm really looking at. I think that regardless of what the score ends up being, whether it goes their way or our way, I think that seeing the Empire Strikers right now where they're at, this still isn't going to be what their full ability is going to be like. I wouldn't even go into this thinking about that. Like, okay, if they beat us, like, okay, they're going to beat everybody. Like, I don't think that that's going to be the case. But I was trying to see, because it's interesting. They're obviously missing Tayu and they were missing Palmer last game. It looks like they're back. We did have a question here. I was asking if Frank Tayu would be back
this game.
They are back. So, they'll have their full squad. Also, did you see, Craig, that, sorry, off topic, but Nelson Santana and Nicolau Neto both got red? Looks like
yes, I did see that.
I was just seeing that right now. That's going to be really interesting for Baltimore and for Kansas City. Anyways, doesn't affect us, but yes.
No, yeah, good times. Good times. But yeah, the Neto rule was created. Neto was given a red card after the fact.
That's right.
And I mentioned that kid, Josh Diaz. I got to give him credit, because when I was watching the Baltimore game, when Nelly got the red card came on video review. And the video review was happening, and the Baltimore announcer was just kind of like not saying anything, just kind of hemming and hawing. And then the kid's like, "Hey, I'm rooting for the Blast to win, but I think that was a foul."
Did he say that? Nice.
Yeah.
Yes,
and 30
Josh.
seconds later, Shane Butler came out of the box and was like, "Boop, red card." I'm like, way to go, kid. For the first time ever, we found objectivity inside the Baltimore broadcast. It's a beautiful thing.
Love it. Need more of that. It's awesome.
All right, last thing. It's almost a trolling question, but I think it's an honest question.
Is there such a thing as a trolling but honest question? Let's find out.
1-1 this weekend. If the Sockers on next week's show have a 1-1 record, is that an acceptable result for this weekend? You've had 2 weeks of training camp. Most teams had 4 to 6. You're going to play back-to-back games. Your first game is your opponent's second game on their floor, getting their key players back. Not to say that I'm sure we're going to lose Saturday or sure we're going to lose at all, but if, and the Sockers haven't lost a regulation match in 41 consecutive matches. Last time they did it was April 2021 in Ontario. Were it to happen that they dropped a match, one or the other, is that an acceptable result for the opening weekend?
I'm gonna go with yes. I think so. I think it's an acceptable result, especially knowing what we know about not just the fact that we're gonna be somewhat shorthanded, but also the fact that we didn't start our preseason until just recently. I would say that these first couple of games are gonna be tough, regardless. So a 1-1, I will take a win out of 2. Yes, I'll take a win out of 2. How do you feel? What do you think? Is it acceptable?
Never.
Never. I was going to say the Sockers, never.
Never acceptable. Oh, man. I mean, look, does part of me feel like after calling however many straight losses those poor kids have had to call, if Philly could finally clamp his gums onto a W over San Diego, like just how happy they would be. And so as such, I think it'd be better if the Sockers won Saturday and lost Sunday, so that I could be the one that had to call the loss instead of Philly.
You're a jerk. Oh, my gosh.
I'm kidding. I don't want us to lose either game. Of course not. I don't want us to lose either
We don't
game.
want to lose any games.
Look, I guess the way I'll answer the question that I wrote myself and I knew was a trolling question is the Sockers have set themselves up to lose a game. If they don't, awesome. If they do, they set themselves up for it. You know, they set themselves up for this. They could have come in 2 weeks earlier. There could have been different decisions made, you know, and so that's kind of where I land on it. Is if they drop a game, they set themselves up to drop a game. If they don't drop a game, you know, I mean, this team is really good. The Sockers have the best team. I do believe the Sockers have the best team. But that's what Suzanne just put in the chat that you put on the screen is the biggest thing. You got to look at the big picture. You know, remember the Sockers were 2-1 in 2018 in December, and then they won all the rest of the matches. Last year, the team was 3-0, and then up 5-1 against Ontario at the half, and they lost that game. You know, even though
What's
it
up
was
with
an
that
overtime.
5-1? What is with the 5-1 scoreline in Ontario?
That's when the Fury turn it on.
Yeah, and they're like, all right, we're 5-1, guys. Now it's time to play.
It's a special game condition. You have to read the fine print. When down 5-1, add +6 to all Fury attacks. You know, it's just one of those things. So, personally, I'm looking for the 2-0, but I kind of do feel that before the calendar year is out, we're going to drop a game. So, if that's going to happen, the most likely time for it to happen is this weekend. If it's going to happen this weekend, the most likely time for it to happen is the first game. But we are the Sockers.
I mean, we're facing off against who's the Mesquite Outlaws on the 18th coming in. So yeah, I think if we were to lose, that's the last game before the end of the year, is it not? Do we have another one? Yeah,
no, that's it.
So we have those 3 this year. I would say it would have to come if you're calling one loss before the end of the year, calendar year, then that means it's coming this weekend. I would prefer if we don't see it.
Me too.
just to keep Philly and mainly Philly just hating. He doesn't hate San Diego. He loves a bunch of people over here, but I think
does
just as a whole,
he does.
I don't think he says
he says kind things about the organization and the fans, and every single time he's a class act.
I love that
guy. He gets excited about the game.
But you're right.
You know,
he
the
doesn't.
doctor gives him the news.
He doesn't get to call that many wins. I'm sorry.
It's been rough. It's been rough.
It's tough.
So he's a great guy, and what a great ambassador! He's one of the most enthusiastic ambassadors the sport has ever seen. So much love for Philly, the Doctor, the Panda. I feel like a league that has had some shaky broadcast crews over the years has one of the most passionate, committed crews possible in the land formerly known as Ontario.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think it's gonna be fun to watch our guys. I'm trying to go, Craig. I know you'll be out there. I'm gonna try to be there on Saturday. I really want to try to make it out to Toyota Arena in the Empire, the first game against the Sockers at the Empire. I would love to be there. I'm gonna try to.
I mean, I'm gonna swing by and knock on your door. It just depends if you open the door or not. I mean,
I might just have to jump in the back of your trunk and ride with you. We'll see. Who else is going? I see there's a few people in the chat that said that they were going. Be great to see a good crowd of Sockers fans over there supporting the boys at the first game. That'd be nice.
Absolutely. Hope to see so many of you there. I see Marlisha is coming. Tony's a Toy Runner is coming.
I would especially like
Ellen
to see
04 is coming.
I would especially like to see everybody on Sunday. Craig. Sunday.
Definitely on
Sunday. That's gonna be a blast.
Yep. We will be there. Just one last thing on the way out. Do not forget, the game on Sunday will kick off at 5:06. It will not kick off late. And as such, the ring ceremony is starting early. So be inside the arena by 4:30 if you want to see everything. If you want to see the player introductions, this year's hype video rolling out for the first time, and if you want to see the ring ceremony, the banner drop of our 16th championship banner, make sure you get in by 4:30, in your seats by 4:45, so that you don't miss a second of the action. And then at 5:06 sharp, we will be kicking it off. Bring a friend. SDSoccers.com/tickets, 866-799-GOAL. And for our Canadian friends, I see in the chat, for everybody who is out of market, of course, Nate and Melissa and I will have the call for you Sunday on Twitch on, I believe, MASL_soccer 3 channel, coming up Sunday at 5 o'clock. All right, Jerry, that's it. Episode 4, done.
Can I just say thank you to MASL for posting about our podcast? I saw that on Twitter. They reposted and said, check it out. So thank you so much for doing that. And thank you guys for being here.
And a quick answer to Miss Demis in our chat. Yes, doors will be opening at 3:45. So the doors will open at 3:45, which will be like 5 minutes before the players come out for warm-ups. So absolutely, you still get that full hour before the ceremony begins inside the arena. Make a note of it. All right, what a fun weekend to come. Good luck to all the MASL teams. Want to say special thanks to tonight's guest, Brian Farber, for joining us. Thanks to all of our great Soccers fans who have been here since minute 1 of the show and have carried right through to where we are normally, right around a 90-minute program.
Right
Jerry, you and I have so much stuff to do. I was showing you my to-do list. I've got
show them.
I think four out of 100
Look at this
things.
crazy thing. For you, if you're listening, just believe it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff.
All that. So I got to get back to that. But
Me too.
I appreciate you, brother. Be well, and I'll see you very soon.
Yeah, I'll see you really soon. See you guys soon too. Thank you guys for being here again. Go and follow us on social media, by the way, at San Diego Soccers. All right, thanks. Bye.
For Jerry Jimenez, I'm Craig Elston. We'll talk to you next week. See you soon. See you at Pechanga Arena on Sunday. And, of course, go Soccers!
Your San Diego Soccers are going for an MASL 3P. Join us Sunday, December 11th at Pechanga Arena for the home opener against Empire Strykers. Come early for the ring ceremony as we raise a 16th championship banner before the 5 o'clock kickoff. Tickets at Soccers.com.